Society, through media, entertainment, and religion, has conditioned us to believe that sharing food represents love, connection, and bonding in a human way. But if you reflect on your actual experience, beyond the illusion and constant propaganda, you'll realize it was, in fact, something entirely different. What it truly was a ritual of energy harvesting, a parasitic and predatory bonding that didn't truly feel good. You gaslit yourself into believing it was good, to match the belief you were planted with, a gaslighting mechanism designed to make you dismiss what you always knew deep down but were never allowed to acknowledge. At the heart of this ritual of sharing food, you are the true offering. The table becomes an altar, and you are the sacrificial lamb, the scapegoat, laid upon it, unknowingly serving as the source of energy for others. This is a true feast, not of food, but of energy. It is an exchange ritual, where your true, organic, nourishing energy is traded for their burdens. In this dynamic, you become the vessel through which their energy is projected onto you, leaving you drained and burdened, while they feast on your nourishing energy. They trigger this exchange under the guise of food being nourishment. They open you up, triggering an unfair and wicked trade. What should be an act of care becomes a twisted transaction where your vitality is siphoned away, and they consume it under the pretense of offering you sustenance. Before we dive into the disturbing truth of how food is used in narcissistic abuse, remember to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. While I don't engage directly in comments, I do read them and value your insights. Now, let's break down how food becomes a tool for control in these toxic dynamics. The trap of power, how narcissists use food to control you. Narcissists understand the power of food. Meals are moments of vulnerability. When you sit down to eat, you're not just consuming food, you're also consuming emotional energy. Here's how they manipulate this moment. 1. Criticism and humiliation. You sit down for a meal, expecting comfort, but instead, you become the target of public criticism, shaming, humiliation, and devaluation. They attack your appearance, intelligence, or choices, often doing so in front of others. This public shaming and humiliation are designed to break your self-esteem, making you feel small, powerless, and worthless. It leaves you with a deeply negative, often subconscious experience of people, community, family, and friends. Over time, this becomes a very serious trauma, reshaping your perception of social interactions and deepening the emotional scars of rejection. 2. Trapped at the table. You try to leave, to save yourself from the ordeal, but they erupt into a dramatic scene, accusing you of being ungrateful or ruining their generous offering. They use other people as the enforcers too. You're left stuck, unable to escape, forced to endure the ordeal in silence. 3. Disturbing conversations. Narcissists often bring up painful or disturbing topics during meals, disguising the discomfort as a casual chat. This forces you to associate food with distress, further manipulating your emotional state. 4. Poking at insecurities. While you're vulnerable, they strike. They bring up past mistakes or failures, ensuring that you feel unworthy of the nourishment that should be nurturing you. 5. Creating chaos. A peaceful meal can quickly turn into chaos. Narcissists thrive on disruption, conditioning you to associate food with tension and emotional turmoil. A lot of sexual trauma can be traced back to these experiences. People often wonder why they have certain desires that seem bizarre to them, related to public humiliation, unworthiness, or shaming, being tied, used, degraded, either individually or by a group, and so on. These deep, complex feelings might leave them puzzled about where these desires stem from, especially if they don't consciously remember being treated that way. The truth is, they were, very often, in these settings. This unresolved trauma seeks healing and release through sexuality, which can be a powerful tool for healing. However, understanding where it all comes from can facilitate even deeper healing. You see where these desires come from. By tracing it back to the seemingly non-sexual source, you begin to reclaim and heal parts of yourself that have long been suppressed. Additionally, eating disorders are also deeply connected to these experiences of sharing food. The ritual of energy harvesting, where you are conditioned to feel worthless or unworthy, can manifest as a distorted relationship with food. The act of eating becomes another arena where control, shame, and emotional pain are played out, reinforcing the cycle of self-devaluation. This isn't just about food, it's about control over your own body, your value, and your sense of self-worth. The subtle shift, from generosity to indebtedness. Narcissists lure you in with a false sense of generosity. They make you feel wanted and special, but once you're drawn in, everything changes. 1. The power shift. What started as an invitation turns into a trap. They suddenly act as if your presence is a burden. You're left questioning yourself, feeling like a guest who's overstayed their welcome, even though you never wanted to be there in the first place. 2. Indebtedness and guilt. Narcissists twist the narrative so that you feel guilty for even existing in the space they created. What was supposed to be a shared moment of connection becomes a calculated strategy to make you feel indebted to them, emotionally and energetically. They drain your resources while convincing you that you owe them everything. 3. The carefully crafted trap. Their hospitality is not about nourishing others, it's about draining them. They create the illusion of giving, but it's always at your expense. You are made to feel incapable of giving back, stuck in a cycle of emotional debt that they control. The power of hosting, narcissists as generous providers. Hosting is more than just about food, it's about control. Narcissists use food to maintain their dominance in social settings. 1. Social power. By hosting, narcissists become the center of attention. They are the ones who bring people together, reinforcing their sense of power and influence. 2. Emotional drainage. Food has a relaxing effect, it lowers defenses and opens people up emotionally. This is exactly why narcissists love to host. It allows them to drain others' energy while appearing generous and giving. 3. Undermining others' efforts. If you try to host or bond with others in a nurturing or giving way, the narcissist will sabotage your efforts. They cannot tolerate the idea of losing control or sharing social power, so they belittle your attempts to host, ensuring that you never step into the role of the giver. They will make you feel poor, incapable, and unworthy, causing you to abandon your efforts to host, because it will leave you feeling bad about yourself. This dynamic forces you to give them all the social power, reinforcing the belief that you are unworthy. The key to this manipulation lies in making you feel impoverished and undeserving, because if you feel worthy, their control over you would stop, and the energy of your worthiness would no longer flow to them. Food as a weapon, narcissists use it to manipulate and control. Narcissists don't just use food for nourishment, they weaponize it. Here are some common tactics they use. 1. Forced eating. They insist you eat when you don't want to, sometimes even forcing food onto your plate. If you refuse, they may guilt-trip you, turning what should be a neutral act into a power struggle. 2. Punishment for saying no. If you decline their food, their loving mask slips, and they may react with rage, guilt, or ridicule. The message is clear: refuse their control, and you will be punished. 3. Manipulating hunger and satiety. They deliberately disrupt your hunger and satiety signals, creating confusion around your eating habits. By breaking these natural mechanisms, they engineer eating struggles and disorders, often pushing you to gain weight. Once these mechanisms are broken, rebuilding them and restoring balance becomes incredibly difficult, if not impossible. And they know it. 4. Obligation through gift-giving. They may buy or cook food for you when you never asked for it, and then expect something in return. This creates a cycle of obligation, trapping you in their web of manipulation. 5. Mocking your efforts. If you try to cook for them, they belittle your skills, act unimpressed, or demand more. The goal is to ensure that you never feel good enough to reciprocate, keeping the power imbalance intact. The energy drain of mealtime abuse. Mealtime is a vulnerable time, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Narcissists exploit this to implant negativity and manipulate your emotions. Here's how the energy drain works. 1. The emotional toll. After a meal with a narcissist, you often feel exhausted, ashamed, or even physically ill. This isn't just the food, it's the emotional and psychological manipulation that came with it. 2. Loss of trust in food. Over time, you may lose trust in the experience of eating. What should be a nourishing, comforting act becomes a source of anxiety and discomfort. 3. Digestive issues. Stress from these mealtime encounters can manifest physically. Chronic digestive problems, such as stomach pain or nausea, can develop as a result of the emotional strain placed on you. 4. Feeling unworthy of nourishment. Narcissists condition you to feel that you are unworthy of the very food that should be nurturing you. This can lead to cycles of self-neglect, disordered eating, or overcompensation through binging or restrictive eating. Breaking free, reclaiming control over food. Recognizing the manipulation is the first step toward liberation. Here's how you can break free from food-based abuse. 1. Eat alone or in safe spaces. Rebuild positive associations with food. Eat when you feel safe, whether that's alone or with people who support you. 2. Disengage from arguments. If they start a fight at the table, leave, and eat later when you're away from the toxic energy. 3. Prepare meals with intention. Take control of your nourishment. Prepare food as an act of self-care, free from their influence. 4. Understand their tactics. Recognize that their behavior is a deliberate strategy. By seeing the manipulation, you can resist internalizing it to some degree. But when you have a chance to leave them forever, leave and don't look back. Sharing food should nourish, heal, and connect us. But in the narcissistic world we live in, it's twisted into a tool of control and manipulation. By reclaiming food as yours, free from their influence, you not only regain your nourishment, but your power as well. It's liberating to eat alone, away from the scripted conversations, movies, religion, and all other forms of narcissistic propaganda that shape our beliefs of sharing food being so great, when the actual experience of it quite the opposite. In solitude, you can reconnect with your true needs, free from the manipulation of others. Thank you for listening, and I hope this message helps you break free from this toxic cycle.